Let's call the meeting to order at 5:32. And first order of business is if there are any adjustments to the agenda.
No.
Okay, good. And then second would be approval of minutes of April 25th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of April 25th.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of April 25th as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Deb. Okay. Public comment on items not on the agenda. For our viewers, there are no public here, so there won't be any public comment, I don't think. Select board items. Landmark College Sidewalk.
Just to update everyone on the sidewalk, I met with John McLaren on a Friday, not last week, the week before, and he wanted an update on the sidewalk, see where we were at, what was going on. I couldn't give him much information. What I did give him was we're still waiting to secure the right-of-way easements from 2 of the 3 abutters, and once we have that, we can move forward. I've also been in touch with RSG, who is the engineer, so our contract we have gone over for the engineering, and they're doing a change order. I actually received it this afternoon. I haven't read it yet, but so we have to review that, sign off on it to even move forward with the engineering.
They've gone over as far as hours are concerned?
Yes, in the engineering, because of the whole right-of-way easement.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they had an approved plan by the state,
Right.
and because of that
They had-
slope,
They had to adapt it.
right, and because of in front of Murray's,
Yeah,
that got revised as well.
yeah.
So that took some time. The slope has been a big issue, trying to accommodate, the landowner and what needs to be done there without, absorbing extra costs, especially with a wall.
Yeah.
So the wall has been abandoned. We are gonna go with a slope. And so he went back to Peter Eden,
Mhm.
and Mr. Eden called me, and we spoke on telephone on Thursday last week. He is getting pressure from the trustees.
Mm-hmm.
The sidewalk should have been done by 2015.
That's the impression of the trustees. Yeah, I mean, as we talked about earlier, my experience with sidewalks is
You run into,
they're really complicated.
right,
I mean, we all would have loved to have seen this done in 2015.
Right.
We all would have loved to have seen the sidewalks on Main Street done in 2003 when we started working on them.
right.
When we finally got them done in 2012 or 13. It's just the reality of what it takes to do this kind of thing. And I want to just say clearly that we have every interest in completing this project, and we know that Landmark has been supportive both financially and in other ways, and we appreciate that very much, but we also, it's just the reality of dealing with the state of Vermont. Landowners, all sorts of complicated issues, and it just
Right.
doesn't happen the way it does in the private sector. It's
Well-
all state, so,
The other point is that there's been transition here too,
yes,
so within the last year.
yeah,
But, phase 1 took a little longer than anticipated. Phase 2 had a couple complications,
yeah,
and now we're to the 3rd phase. But their concern is the safety of their students, and
Yes.
Absolutely.
I agree with them.
yeah,
What Peter would like is a letter from the town stating our intention with phase 3. So if we can give them a response. Now, I've been in touch with Corey with RSG, and John LaBarge is a state
Mhm.
project engineer.
right,
I spoke to both of them. Corey's a little more optimistic about possibly getting it built in the fall, but John is not. He feels that if we can secure the easements, get it ready to go out to bid in the fall, we could be ready in the spring to build.
That's probably the more likely.
It's more
scenario.
Well,
realistic.
it's also a bad time to go out to bid for something. I mean,
Well, Corey said, no, we might be able to get.
Get fall,
Yeah,
decent fall
we may
bids.
be able to get some good bids in the fall. But the time frame to build it may not be there.
right.
And we still
And
have
John
to,
LaBarge would certainly know,
yeah.
I mean,
Now, John LaBarge is retiring from the state,
right.
so that will transition to somebody else. Again, we're
Which
gonna have.
it's already done once in this
Right.
process,
Right,
so,
and we have to still contend with the culvert at the bottom of the slope that is owned by the state.
so, yeah, I mean, I think, you know,
So my recommendation is write a letter to Landmark.
well, I think that should be informed by essentially a schedule from the engineer,
Yeah.
because it'll be up to them to determine when these timelines are realistic. I mean,
Yeah.
where design-wise, we're mostly done, but
85%.
revising,
85% is what Corey told me,
right,
so it's near,
right,
it's near completion.
yeah,
I mean, we're close, but we're pushing up against the, you know.
right-of-way issues and having to
Yeah.
redesign as a
Yeah.
result of that.
I spoke to Larry too, and he says what you need to do is do a timeline of the entire project. He says, I can do that for you. I'm like, no, Larry, you're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
I will do that.
You mean the project as it has been completed?
Yeah,
or-
why, you know, so phase one took this long. We don't have to outline the details.
Right.
Phase two here, but it gives everybody.
A perspective,
Yeah,
yeah. Because, yeah, I mean, phase one took literally 10
Yeah.
years to do.
but,
I mean, it's amazing how long it takes, it
Yeah.
just does.
I mean, we have a sidewalk to a certain point and it doesn't go anywhere. So of course, our intent is to finish the project.
Right.
So the timing may not be what Landmark,
And we don't have
Expectation
any,
is-
there's no risk to us of the grant money
no.
being,
No, I checked with John.
Yeah.
Phase two actually just got closed out this week
did it?
with
Okay,
an
good.
acceptance memo. Our grant agreement for TAP 14, that doesn't expire until November, so we still have time on that. So we'll renew that come November, before November. But we're still in good shape with all the grant
Okay.
funding. And Vermont Transportation has a bike path pedestrian
Grant,
grant coming out.
yeah,
So it is wise for us to apply and see what
Yep.
we can do.
Yeah.
Because if that secures a little more money,
that wouldn't be a bad thing. Because, I mean, you know, as we found with phase one, you know, it's roughly, I mean, in estimating, for estimating purposes, you basically tag on 4% per year. On the assumption that it's gonna cost you that much more. I mean, just given that this has
Right.
been 4 or 5 years in the making,
Yeah.
we're probably up, you know, 10% from where we initially would have bid it. So I think
Right.
a bike path, you know.
and
grant
Kathy
would be
Robinson
helpful.
also, we're trying to schedule an appointment with her next week.
Mhm.
It'll be with Corey Mack, RSG, myself, and Kathy Robinson
Yeah,
to get her to sign off on the easement,
Good.
if she likes the plan.
yeah,
But I need Corey to explain that to her,
yeah.
so that's promising.
Yeah. All right, well, you know, whatever you think is necessary for Landmark, you know,
I think the letter is appropriate,
Yeah, no, I definitely agree,
Mhm.
but I think it should be backed up with,
yes,
with
facts.
other people's realities too.
Mhm.
You know, John LaBarge included, if
Yeah.
he, you know, if he can even just give us sort of a paragraph on what he would suppose is gonna be
Yeah,
the most likely outcome. Maybe that's not realistic to ask of him, but it might.
yeah,
I think it makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ask, I mean, it's just an incredibly detailed process. And, there's a lot involved, and it always takes longer than some things. But again, we obviously want to get it done, so.
yes.
So, sooner would be better, but
Well,
one step at a time.
yeah, we'll see where we can,
Yeah, what's realistic.
yeah,
Yeah, and we don't want to, we've had this discussion numerous times over the years of, putting something out to bid when it's not, for all practical purpose, bidding season. And you end up with bids that are oversized and you
Right.
don't want to accept one anyway. So you wait that much longer and go out to bid again, and then you've chased some people away because they've seen that their bid wasn't accepted the first time, it's just, that's tricky too. So,
right,
I think John or RSG Corey, either one of them would have probably realistic views on that just based on the bids they're getting on other projects and the timeliness of those, et cetera. But,
yeah,
that can be a 10% difference, and a 10% difference on a,
$300,000 project.
is a chunk of change.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Yep.
but yes, I think we're all interested in keeping it moving. So.
Yeah.
All right, anything else on that?
No.
Lawn mowing contract recommendation.
So in your packet, there is a quote from Eric McGowan Property Maintenance. He mowed the public lawns last year. It was a one-year contract. I was considering putting it out to bid. The cemetery did sign a 3-year contract with McGowan Property. So they're locked in for 3 years. And right now, it's getting late. The grass is getting higher. It's nice and green. So I would recommend that we go with Eric McGowan for this year. I tried to do a spreadsheet or a report on how much, we paid him last year, but everything's lumped in together. So I couldn't, he had shoveling in there and all kinds of stuff, so I just couldn't pull it out quick enough. But this is his estimate.
And the numbers following the names of where it'll be done is the number of times he anticipates to go.
Yes. Usually, and what I had seen from last year was May through September.
Yeah.
He does his sidewalk too, which I didn't know that. The green space along the
Yeah.
sidewalk. So I think that's good.
You mean between sidewalk and the road?
From here
Here.
to Maple Gray, yeah,
Yeah.
sidewalk to Putney Central. I don't think he does, maybe there's a little bit on this. There isn't much green space on this guy.
No.
I think it's primarily
Right.
that one. It's essentially where it turns to asphalt,
Right.
and then it's got that strip between.
So who actually owns that? Is that within our right of way? Is that how that works?
It is within
Yeah.
our right of way. It's, I can't remember exactly how the wording is, but, essentially in the agreement to allow the sidewalk to be placed there, my recollection is that it was, a shared responsibility. Landowners are hopefully,
Right.
expected to sort of do what they can, but ultimately it falls to the town if it isn't
Yeah.
done, kind of thing, so.
I see.
Kind of like the hydrants,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and, seven times in a season, I think is you know,
That's-
whatever that is, once every 3 weeks or something,
Yeah.
just to keep it from looking too scruffy, you know. That's probably not unrealistic. So we don't really have technically historical data on this because we haven't contracted it this way with him before.
I didn't find a
It's been-
contract.
Yeah,
That was the
it's,
other thing, I looked and I just couldn't put my fingers on it.
well, it wasn't, I mean, it's been a variety of different things over the last several years, and last year it was lumped with the cemetery. And that was the first time that there was a contract that included all of these things.
Right,
So it used to be a highway department issue, it used to, be, you know, there used to be somebody else who did some of that mowing, you know,
well,
there's several
see,
different
and
things.
that was the thing, because Lenny, the fifth guy,
Right,
was supposed to be.
right, we talked about that.
Right, the
doing that.
maintenance and doing the lawn and,
Yeah,
but they don't have a mower, so we
Right.
would've had to get the mower, but, you know, he's still down a guy, but,
yeah, I mean, in that discussion, that was really the end of last year that we looked at that, and it just, you know, the numbers didn't really
Kind of fit
make
together.
sense. I mean, you know, when we look again at this number, maybe it's something we reconsider going forward, but, you know.
I think, yeah, next year what we could do is, we'll be better prepared to know
Right,
what it looks like. Now, when I ran the report just on McGowan, and it included cemetery, it included shoveling,
yeah,
you know, at the library, and the hydrants, he shovels out the hydrants
yeah,
too.
yeah.
And it was 17,000 something.
That was included, but that's a big chunk for the,
That's a lot of work
right,
from January 1st to the end of December
right,
last year.
right.
Okay, so if this is just, you know, 4,300.
Right, I mean, as we saw that, what was the cemetery contract with him for 3 years? 36,000, so it's roughly 12 a year.
Yeah, yeah.
For the
So there you
cemetery,
go.
so,
Yeah,
you know,
so that's close.
So it's
Josh.
essentially,
Yeah.
yeah, essentially the same,
Yeah,
same concept,
yep.
so.
I've never hired for this kind of work before, so are these rates comparable to area rates?
When we've gone out to bid in the past, they've been,
I mean, they don't look alarming to me.
yeah, no, they've been sort of mid-range.
Okay.
You know, we got,
Was it 3 years ago, we put it out?
yeah,
Cemetery.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
we got one bid that was almost double
Double, yeah.
the other bids, and then there was one that was a little bit more, but somebody that wasn't as
Yeah.
local, but there was some background. I can't
Yeah, it wasn't like a proper bid, it wasn't,
Yeah.
it wasn't detailed enough.
Yeah,
They look reasonable to me, I'm just curious, I've never,
and is this based, I mean, as we have briefly talked about before, you know, if we have a sort of devastatingly dry summer, we're not gonna need to mow 18 times.
Right.
Does that mean he doesn't charge us for that? So the contract
Yeah.
is based
On
on
mowing
an assumption of
per-
this many
yes,
mowings?
yeah.
Yeah.
yep.
And would it run then? I mean, obviously, from January until now. I mean, this was for a calendar year. So now would we go more of a, I guess you couldn't even do it a fiscal year.
Fiscal year, because it's the middle
Right.
of the season.
Right, because they,
Doesn't work for
yeah,
him.
overlap each other,
Yeah.
so, but, no, this would be for, I mean, August is usually dry, so, and I expect he's gonna go into October, possibly.
Certainly by
Yeah.
the time cleanup is done
Right,
and everything.
right.
Yeah,
And it could be November,
yeah.
you know, depending on
What
what type
the
of
year
season
is.
we have.
Stretched out last year.
Yeah, yep,
No, I mean, I think that with the, I think when we did it up last year as a sort of add-on, I think it was either 10 or 12 mowings for certain areas, and I think that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
It just depends, it all depends on the
Right.
year. you
Yep.
know, So,
you know, if it's wet, well, sometimes they mow in the rain.
yeah, but if it just, you know,
Yeah.
depending on, I mean, he'll mow in the rain, it just, you know, if it rains and rains, he'll have to mow.
Right, I
More
think
rather
he's
than less,
very
you know.
responsible and, you know, he's done it before and there's been no complaints that I'm aware of,
Yeah,
so
But the reality is, we need someone
we need
probably
someone
by this
now.
weekend almost.
Yes, yes,
You know, 'cause
yes,
it's-
they just mowed their lawn over there, and usually when your neighbor mows their lawn,
It's
you
time.
gotta do yours,
Yeah.
so it looks good. But it is my recommendation that, you know,
yeah.
we hire Eric McGowan for this year.
Do you want to vote on that? Do we need a vote on that?
Do-
I mean, I guess we.
These
should.
are last year's numbers though, do we need to
No.
verify?
No.
No,
This
they're
is
not.
last year's numbers. This is his bid, oh,
It just says to December
Done.
2017,
Yeah.
or did that not get changed?
he just must not have changed.
Right,
Okay,
yeah, he's a very small company,
yeah,
so he's, yeah.
He probably just swapped this over and
so there
changed.
Yeah.
should be
Yeah,
18 here. Okay,
Motion to accept the bid.
so moved, should I name the amount here? For a total
Yeah, I guess so.
of $4,530 for town mowing for the season,
Or not to exceed.
not to exceed
Yeah,
$4,530.
I second that.
been moved and seconded to approve entering a contract with McGowan Property Maintenance with a not to exceed number of $4,530 for mowing at Town Hall, Fire Station, Library, Pool, Sidewalk, and Fall Cleanup. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. All right. Highway Department, over-the-rail mower approval.
That was the easy one, McGowan, now we're talking.
Yeah, that was stuff.
All right, so in your packets, there's 2 quotes for the over-the-rail mower. And there's quite a difference. Now, Brian did try to get 3 bids.
So there's 2 different,
Alamos,
Yeah, so you need to have Fairfield, you have HP
I have
Fairfield?
Padula Brothers.
Oh, you have the-
Maybe I,
Padula Brothers.
oh, here it is.
That one's the same as this one.
That's what I thought,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
I don't know, this one's more detailed. All right,
Yeah, this is the same, these 2 are the same.
all right, so, all right, you have both, Josh?
Yeah.
Okay, so Diamond was the third, he requested a bid from Diamond. They did not want to bid because they would have had to customize the mounting hardware to mount the mower to the tractor. And it had to been engineered and everything else, and so they just
Wow.
didn't want to bid,
So,
okay?
and these others are
Yep,
customized?
well, no, not customized, they can mount them without customizing them.
Oh, so it's a different type of mower, is that what it is? Or a different
Yeah,
something, okay.
it's a mower that they can
Mhm.
adapt to our tractor, because our tractor is a 2001. And what's needed is a hydraulic tank and mounting gear to attach that mower to the tractor, okay? So they have to kind of change it out because it's older. So HP Fairfield is a quote of $50,190. It's a 20-inch, 22-foot boom mower. Now, Brian was at a equipment show today, and this mower was there, so he was able to look at it. And HP Fairfield will bring down the tractor with the mower as a demo, so the guys can use it for a couple days. So it was a good day for them today.
So we would be approving it contingent upon them trying it and being comfortable with it? Or
Well,
they
he
did bring it down? No.
No, he recommends the town go with the HP Fairfield quote. It's $50,190. In our budget for 2019, it is direct capital expenditure for $50,000. So the second quote that's in front of you is $73,500, which is way out of line for our budget. Although it would fit the tractor.
And the Tiger does not, or does?
It does.
Yeah.
It will, yes.
So we're getting rid of an Alamo. I mean, you know,
It's the age of the tractor that's,
an issue.
yes.
Right.
Now, Brian also mentioned, he figures we have another 10 to 15 years on the tractor.
Uh-huh.
And at that point, whether or not, the mower can be sized to another tractor, or at that point, it might be,
10 to 15 years is probably about
Yes.
the lifetime. of
Right.
those anyway.
Yep.
How long, on our capital plan, how long have we had that one, do you know? Did we buy that with that tractor? I don't know.
I don't know. I would think, well, I don't know, Josh, that's a good question. The existing mower. I would think if they bought the tractor for the purpose of mowing, it might be as old as the tractor.
It might be, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
How
Yeah,
old is the tractor?
2001.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just, the only thing that concerns me a little bit is recalling our last purchase of the grader previous to this one, which we went with a lesser quality unit and really didn't get our money's worth. And I just, given the discrepancy, I'm just wondering, I'm not questioning Brian's judgment on this. That's a big difference. And why, are we buying? I guess the basic question is, are we gonna get, 8 years out of a $50,000 mower or 15 years out of a $75,000 mower? Again, if this is what Brian's recommending, I'm assuming he's done the homework to know
He
that.
has done all the research and the homework, and he's,
Pretty confident.
yes, he is, and, I mean,
Well, it's a little, I don't know, it's a little smaller. It's a 50 inch versus a 60 inch. I don't know if that is, might, that'll
There's
knock
some
it
of
down a little bit.
Yeah. 22 foot, it's still a 22 foot.
right,
Yeah.
No, the 18 with a 50, oh, they're both with 50, yeah, 2 cutting blades.
Does this, and this includes everything? Like
Mounting,
yes, yep,
mounting kit, mounting charges, shipping?
if it's Brian's recommendation,
yeah.
I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah, so this HP Fairfield is a 50-inch rotary head, 2 cutting blades
Right.
with disc.
I mean, the 50
Yeah.
to 60 would definitely make a significant difference. It's probably not that big a difference. But,
Right. Well, a 60-inch too is, you can only get into so many places.
It might give them a little more flexibility.
It might,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's nice that this company's out of Vermont.
Yeah. And we do a lot of business with them. I mean, they do most of our truck bodies. They've done a lot of work with them. That may be part of it too, it's just they need to be more
Thank you,
flexible.
Costa.
Yeah, exactly. Know what they're dealing with, so. All right. So moved.
So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded to accept the recommendation by Brian to purchase a Tiger 22-inch boom mower installed by HP Fairfield for $50,190. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, did you say that was contingent upon the
Well,
test? Or-
they're gonna bring it down for them to try out, or?
Yeah, they're gonna let them
Yeah,
demo.
regardless,
Okay,
yeah.
so, yeah, I mean, if he finds that to be a disaster, then.
Yeah, they'll let us know,
We'll
but,
hear about it.
yeah, and we'll have to go back to the drawing board, because,
Yeah,
yeah.
all right. Draft social media and website policy.
Any comments?
There's only one thing in it that I noticed that I have the slightest bit of question on, and I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not well enough versed in this world to be able to,
Do you have a copy of it?
yeah,
Yes, real quick.
analyze this sufficiently. I mean, it seems very good and very thorough and,
There's a lot of
It is.
information in there,
Yeah,
and
I
it
don't
may
know.
not apply to Putney, all of it. But it's
but that's
there,
probably okay.
it's
Yeah.
there for 10 years down the line,
Right,
and things
yes.
continually change.
Well, one of my questions was, because things change so rapidly, whether or not this should be revisited annually.
Yeah,
Well, because things are,
Or at least on a 3-year basis or something.
least,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going, and I looked at, I too, same boat. I mean, I'm just not as familiar with a lot of this stuff. But one question I had, what is public records law? What's retention?
Time period for which we have to retain public records.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Records.
Okay.
We do have a public records policy that's, we're working on. We're gonna look at it, and some of these are gonna tie into each other. Like
Yeah.
this can tie into the personnel policy
Right, yeah,
and the public records. But,
yeah, no, and I think that will be the part, as you're, I think accurately pointing out, Steve, as time passes, you know, I mean, how much is available, for example, of Putney Public Records, you know, via these vehicles currently
Right.
versus what will be, you know, and that'll, as the clerk's office modernizes and digitizes more, that will be a bigger question also.
exactly,
You know,
Yes.
can we be prepared for that? But this seems to cover
right.
some of that, you know, I don't know, but it's hard to,
I think it's gonna
Hard to say.
overlap a lot of areas
I would
in the
think so
office.
too, yeah.
Right.
Because email right now is public record. Let me see what I-
Yeah, virtually
Text
any
messages
communication,
are.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't remember where it was in there, it's not coming right up to me. There was something in there that discussed, the select board, discourages, town employees and elected officials from, commenting on anything that, might be related to town business.
Does it mention the select board specifically?
I
though?
believe it did,
Yeah, I think so.
and it's just not popping right out to me, but if I might find it faster this way, this is how I first read it. And I guess my concern with that is that, I don't know that the select board would encourage any of us not to comment in a face-to-face conversation. I don't know that we have the authority to do that. Are you finding it?
No, but I do remember. You know, I think,
Oh, right here on page 3. Town officials are discouraged, no, sorry.
Maybe that,
Can you do a find on that?
yeah, that might have been it, and I'm just remembering it a little differently.
I don't remember that because I try to keep like the select board neutral.
I really thought it was, I remember reading the select board and kind of going, oh. But it was in the original one you sent out? Has any of that changed?
No,
Oh.
no.
Hmm.
Yeah. That was-
That was the only thing that raised an eyebrow with me.
Well, this is the other thing I want to mention is I would like to send this to Larry so he
Yeah.
can review it.
yeah,
And I haven't done that yet because I was waiting for comment from you first.
Well, he would definitely know then
Yeah.
if it was something that wasn't in our authority to do.
You know, I mean, until we look exactly what you're talking about. But, you know, I mean, I think the gist of what I would guess that's trying to say, and we've sort of had this conversation, is that an individual doesn't represent the select board's opinion unless the select board, you know, I mean, if we've taken an action and an individual is saying, this is the action we took, that's one thing. But my opinion about what the select board should do is not, you know, I just think that's something that all of us are and should be, you know, adequately cautious about, because we don't represent the select board. We represent our opinion on the select board. But, you know, if anything's coming across, and, you know, that's been my concern with this stuff all along, is that, you know, as soon as you start putting stuff out there as an individual who happens also to be on the select board, people pick and choose how they want to associate it with you, and correctly or incorrectly. But it's about how it's portrayed, and I don't, you know, I don't know exactly the verbiage that we're talking about. I just think, I agree with you, it's not up to anybody to say what you choose to comment on or not, or Steve or myself or anybody. I just think one has to be very cautious to preface that with, this is my opinion, not the select board's opinion.
Yeah.
And so how that might be worded in a way that makes that sound complicated, I don't know. I mean, everything, you know, it's select board and it's authorized representatives, verify staff authorization, so on and so forth. The select board or its authorized representative shall designate a town social networking moderator to monitor, manage, and oversee all content. That's problematic for us.
That was a question I had too on here.
Now, you can designate someone, because Brattleboro, I read their policy, and it's the town manager that basically oversees, monitors. So we can take the select board right out of the equation.
Well,
But-
it's authorized representative.
Yeah,
No, I don't
yeah,
mind the select
yeah,
board being,
yeah.
no, I think that's fine. It's just,
I think
do
it
we have
shows-
somebody to appoint to that position?
Right,
That, you know, I mean, that,
What are they-
and as it is now, the website, and this was the trouble that Cynthia ran into, when it started to become a bigger animal, she
Right.
just didn't have the ability to manage that.
Right.
So I think, you know, that's just something we need to be thoughtful about of, you know, designated town social networking moderator. What does that mean for who?
right. And this policy again covers a lot of
Yes.
things that we're just kind of like investigating here.
Mhm.
But if we don't have the manpower to do it,
Right.
at least we do have the website. But in the future, if there is social media, whatever it may be, and somebody's able to do the monitoring and do the postings, in most towns, all they use it for is posting.
Meeting times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And links to like
Other town stuff.
BCTV and,
Yeah. Yeah.
and stuff that's
Yeah, but
already out there.
that's everything you can do on a website already.
Yeah.
So I think the priority is the website.
Mhm. No, I agree with
Yeah,
that. But I do see that the way the world is using the internet is changing, and they're gearing towards these different platforms. Um, So, I think it's a good, for the most part, I think it's a very good policy.
Seems pretty thorough, yeah.
Comprehensive.
yeah, I think having a policy in place first and foremost is important, and then we can branch out
Mhm,
slowly
mhm.
to see.
No, and just because we adopt it as a policy
Right.
doesn't mean we can't revisit it in,
Yeah,
3 months, 6 months.
right,
A year, whenever we want to.
Yeah.
I mean, we might find in 6 months,
there's a.
somebody posts
Yeah,
something
yeah.
that says, and we go, well, wait a minute, that's not what we were thinking, and then we
Right.
revisit it to visit, but,
And we can, in this
Absolutely.
policy, there's two different platforms, so we can put information out there, but we can also accept comments if we choose to do that.
right,
We don't have to do that, but the language is in here
right.
in case we run
That's
up
what-
against.
That's
something.
what becomes time consuming.
Right,
I mean,
Right.
as soon as you start,
yes,
interacting on it,
yes,
then it'll,
yeah,
I mean,
It'll
it
morph
may not,
into something
it may not
else.
be an issue at all, but it could be. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine people getting onto that and saying, oh, this is the perfect platform for me to,
Right.
do this, that, and the other thing,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure there's pros and cons to that. But again, it's about person power. I mean,
right.
if
It
we
may
don't,
take
if we don't
another
have,
person.
if we don't have a person to do the work involved, then we should just keep it limited for the time being. And I totally agree with you that this is all shifting. I don't see it at this stage for us being, urgent that we have a Facebook page. I think it's a good way to reach more people, but if we don't have the personnel to do that, then that's something we either should consider having,
Right.
or we shouldn't do it for the time being.
And
Yeah, I would agree with that as far as the town goes. Now, as far as what I do on my own, I don't see anything in here that stops me from having my own page. It just sets strict ground rules.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay, and my only concern with the language I thought I read in there, and I really do need to go back and read this again, is that it might limit me on my personal responses to people, and that I would find concerning.
Yeah, I just think, again, your personal responses are your personal responses. So I think the difference might be that if it's a town Facebook page, that's a whole different
Yeah,
situation.
yeah,
If you're doing it on your own and you're choosing to do things that,
That's me.
well, you're well within your rights.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's certainly not up to any of us. I just think, it has to be very clear. I mean, as we already found out, people assume because it says select board clerk that you're speaking for the select board. How you counter that, I don't know.
yeah, how you present it.
And I know it's not your intention or desire to complicate that at all, and it's not my desire to complicate it for you at all. I just think it's complicated.
But as an employee too, or an elected official, we did have an incident with an employee, you know, I mean, he was out there, he made a comment, and somebody saw it, and the phone was ringing. And so you have to be really careful, and it, as
Well, I understand that, but I think that's in
I
any
think
of our communication. I mean, this
we
just
all have
projects
to,
it.
and I think, and the language is in here, as an employee,
Mhm,
that we have to be cautious,
mhm.
because you engage people, and even if they're a friend, you
Mhm.
know, it's like, because some people get a hold of that, and, you know, it could go,
I also
Good or
don't know,
bad?
I mean, I think you're right, and that's essentially what I was saying before, is we all have to be cautious of that in any way we present any of this information. For me, the difference is, and I don't know enough to do it appropriately, the difference is you're putting that information out to a much broader audience, many of whom you probably don't even know who they are, or some of whom you probably don't know who they are. To me, that's a risk. If I'm having a conversation with 1, 10, 25 people in a space and we're all talking about something, I know everybody and I know what we're talking about and there's context. As soon as it goes out there, to me, that's that's potentially opening up a can of worms that I personally don't want to open. But,
No,
but
I
you may want to,
understand.
but
No,
you
I
may want
understand
to
where you're
open it,
coming- well,
that's
I don't really
fine.
want to
you
open
know.
cans of worms,
Yeah,
but
no,
it's,
no, I-
communicating
yeah,
is
yeah.
important to me.
Yeah.
And I understand that nuances are lost through typed word
Absolutely,
and,
yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
and context can be lost. I do understand all of that, but I also think that there's a lot to be benefited from it.
I agree, yeah, there's no
And
question
so it is a
about that.
balancing act.
Yeah.
And
I just wondered, is this gonna, a policy apply only to the staff and the select board, or are, like, the planning commission and the conservation commission and other
Yeah, any
town
board,
entities,
yeah,
whatever?
Any board or commission that,
So, yeah, we should probably look at it
Yeah.
too then.
yeah, it's in draft format right now, Ann.
Okay. I
Yeah,
will be totally out of my depth, as you know.
Yeah,
But you do have members
That's
on
my
your
problem,
commission that
too.
use
Yeah,
social
absolutely.
media.
Right.
yeah.
So, yeah.
No, and a generation from now, or less than a generation from now, it's gonna be seemingly sort of the more standard means of communication, I mean, it might be, the way I think of email is just gonna
Right.
be Facebook, or whatever it happens to be.
Whatever platform,
You
yeah.
know.
I think for the most
But-
part, people are professional,
Yeah,
you know.
no, and I don't, I don't,
Because we represent the town, so you're cautious about, responding. Because people react, and sometimes that's not a good thing.
yeah, and I think that the thing one has to be most cautious about is reacting to people's reactions. Because
Right.
as soon as you start to
Right.
get into a back and forth,
Yeah,
that gets complicated, and particularly that, as you've said, the nuances of the written word, a text back and forth, and all of a sudden, somebody is, steaming angry about something that you said that you didn't even mean to say it that way, it's just, yikes.
No, I understand.
Been there, done that.
But it absolutely can also be a way to avert
Yeah.
issues where
Right.
it gets it out there, it airs it out, people
Yeah.
say their piece, and then it's either corrected or whatever it may be. But it can be a way to really put a pin in something that is brewing, that you had no idea was brewing.
Yeah. No,
Right.
that's
You know.
definitely true.
So
Yeah,
there's
no, and I-
positives and negatives to it. It's
Yeah.
it's a whole new world.
No, and I, yeah, it is a whole new world, there's no question.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that historically, the purpose of having these public meetings is so that somebody who's got something stewing can come and talk about it. But
Right.
the reality of who's gonna do that and how often and what it's about are very different now than they used to be. And I think there's an expectation in this day and age to be able to sit on your couch and do it in a way that,
Absolutely.
and for some that works great. And that may be where I turn into the dinosaur. That's okay.
Well, I think
Don't
it's,
sit
thank
on
you for
my
doing
hillside.
all the work on that, because I know that that was a lot of research, so.
yeah, no problem, it was needed,
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I can send it off to Larry and get his comments.
Yeah, and why don't we just, not take any action on it right
No,
now?
I don't-
You
yeah, I
take
wasn't-
time to
yeah.
review it and, given that your concern, I, and probably Steve will also take time to think about it in that light. I remember, there's a lot of references to Selectboard,
Right.
et cetera. I remember sort of hashing through, well, this, that, and the other thing, but I wasn't seeing it in, as any way trying to cap that, so.
I just saw how it could
Yeah.
lead to that if it was.
We
Yeah.
could
Because-
reword it if we
Yeah.
have to.
Anything we want,
Or
yeah.
we
Well,
can,
I'm sure Larry will, if
Yeah.
he's, it'll
Yes.
set, if it set off a flag for me, it'll set off a flag for him if there is any concern with it.
I'm just hoping that he doesn't add language. Which he might.
The other question is, Larry is not a young man, but there might be somebody in his office that's more social media savvy that could look at it too.
Eric Dalto, he
you
goes
know,
to a lot of.
That's probably not a bad
workshops.
idea.
Yeah, there you go.
Just to invite somebody who's likely to
Right.
be, more well versed in it.
Yeah. So we can table that
Great.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, town manager's report.
I'll be quick. So this school board signed a resolution for Frank Rucker and Lyle Holiday to be signers on the People's account.
Yay.
So now we need Scott Henry's signature and Deb. So
To approve that or
to sign off on it, yes.
yes,
Because they're treasurer and assistant treasurer.
right.
Frank and Lyle are only signers on the account. They have to remain on the school board account, the SU account.
And in our conversation with this earlier, Deb said, and I would agree with her, that, if things are still, if we ultimately still hold some responsibility for that here, that somebody should be seeing, a reconciled bank statement, or, whatever the appropriate paperwork is
Deb.
for that.
Deb will be managing that,
Um,
because she's been doing it right from the start.
Yeah, I think that, what we're all hoping is that the SU takes on the work
Right.
and that we are presented with a document that A, is for our records, but B, that somebody can relatively quickly and easily look at and say, yeah, this all makes sense.
Yeah, this is where we're at, we're good.
Right. So,
It
and
should
I
be.
assume they do that, but I, encourage them to do that if they don't, so.
So that's moving forward
Good.
Good.
again. So in 2 years, it's probably, moot point.
Won't have to
anyway,
be on
so,
our
yeah.
whole business
Right.
section.
Yep. So I met with Leanne Sargent today. She's with Larry Slison's office to go over tax sale proceedings. So my understanding from Larry is usually right after the last collection date, which was February,
Yeah.
a notice of delinquent tax goes out. So we have to file something with the land record too. And then letters go out to the delinquent taxpayers. Now, at this point, we have $238,370.17 outstanding.
That's
Of-
that's high.
Of that,
Compared to that.
for 2017, which we just closed, is $176,480.72. So our policy is if you're in arrears for 2 years, and if you don't, after getting the letter, if you don't contact the office with some payment or payment arrangement, tax payment agreement, then you're gonna go to tax sale.
Even the 177 is high for,
Yes.
that's not typical. my recollection is it's usually under
That's what I
150
thought.
and
Since,
usually less. Do we have any sense of what's behind that or not? I guess it would be
No.
hard to.
Yeah, I mean, they're all right here.
oh,
So there's 21 policies, I guess, and 4 are under agreement already, so of course we can't take them. A couple are estates,
Yeah,
so, and 1 or 2 went to tax sale, but there was no notification to the people because they didn't know who to notify. So of course, you.
went to tax sale last year.
Yep, so some of those names might be familiar to you guys. So we're gonna do our best to get notices out and letters to all the delinquent people and see what we can capture.
It's just the highlighted ones that are currently.
Those are
mine,
the
is that-
well, those are the ones that are gonna be 2 years.
Would be potentially taxed.
Yes.
Right,
Yep.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, some of those numbers are small. So maybe just contacting them and seeing what the situation is and working with them, we can remedy those delinquent accounts.
Maybe.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Jordy just, he launched the grand list today. I don't think it's the official one, because they still have to go through abatement,
Right,
but he did do that, so, you know, by July, I can,
through abatement,
yeah.
through grievance.
Yes.
Right, not
Yep.
abatement.
200 letters went out for, you know, if people want to grieve.
Yeah,
So that'll be happening next month. Right now, we can determine, based on what he lodged for the grand list, we can determine the tax rate. So I might go through that exercise, and then once grievances are done, and he lodges the official grand list, then we'll have a final number.
you know, maybe you said that as I was asking you that. Didn't we discuss changing the 2-year policy?
we've talked about it in the
Yeah.
past, we didn't talk about it recently.
Yeah.
Were you gonna do one?
Well, I think part of the thing is, are we making things worse for people to pay back if we're letting it go further and further out?
I don't
You
think
know.
so, because I think if you go 1 year, you're gonna have a lot of people on either doing agreements or.
Or change it, but then they have to pay the penalty.
The agreement.
Yeah,
Right,
if they go to
2 years.
tax sale and they start title research, we can't take money. We have to notify the attorney's office and say, you know, I have Mr. X wants to pay. What's involved is attorney fees. If they've done title research, they're gonna get charged for
Right.
that. If it's gone in the paper, they're gonna get charged for that too. So, doing a 1 year,
well,
If
the
somebody's
theory
delinquent.
being, I mean, a lot of towns do it 1 year. The theory being that it's a whole lot less complicated after a year than it is after 2 years. I don't know whether that's true, and that the
a
numbers
number
are
is
much
a
lower.
number, you know, but they're lower, but, I mean, so,
Well, you keep people from getting,
yeah,
Accruing.
I don't know, there's different ways of thinking about it, but that's certainly,
well, look at your 2017, you're at $176,000.
right.
You're gonna go to tax sale, you're gonna, you know, wouldn't you
Well,
wanna try to work with them and try to,
yeah, but
Yeah.
the flip side of that is if people know and have historically gone to 2 years, they're gonna go to 2 years.
yeah,
If they're only at a year, they're gonna get it, I mean, that's the argument for it, is you force the
Right.
issue, which, can feel, could be portrayed as either regressive or progressive, depending on how
Right.
you look at
Right.
it, you know?
well, those 1 year, those 2017 delinquents, they're gonna get a letter as well.
Right,
So,
right,
everyone will receive a letter.
yes.
And then maybe at some point we can think how to write that letter, you know, because
Yeah, I don't know why that is.
if their bill is coming out in July,
Mhm.
due in August, you get that payment too. So you could almost do a tax payment agreement on a 2-year plan. And then you capture their, 2018 with that 2017. So
Well,
we're-
that may be the way to do it,
I think we
something,
have to
some
be
variation
creative,
on
and
that.
Chip mentioned
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah,
So we need to be creative. Some of those numbers are small from.
right.
I mean, so it's a phone call. It's like, what can
Yeah,
you do?
so-
Yeah,
But,
although, as we know these days, even small numbers are.
Yeah, but to lose your house or your.
right.
Yeah, no,
property.
and we never want to,
Yeah.
we
No,
never
the
want
town
to take
doesn't- no.
somebody's property.
No,
I
you know,
understand that,
But,
We
the
also
problem
have
is,
recourse.
exactly, the problem is if that's not the threat, then you never resolve these. And
Right.
that's a problem. So,
Yeah.
it's just a question of whether, I think the concept you're talking about of putting it on almost like a pre-tax sale, concept, really giving a thorough warning,
Right.
hey, if this goes for a year without being resolved,
Yeah,
another year without being resolved,
Right.
you're going to tax sale.
Yeah.
And just, making, and maybe, I don't know whether we do that at all currently or not, but having it be, a more sort of open discussion a year in advance might be the way to approach that.
Right.
I don't
right.
know.
A lot of our community, I mean, there's a lot of people.
There's a lot of
It's-
people, yeah,
It's alarming.
definitely. Well, and most of these are just overdue the 1 year,
Uh-huh.
which is,
But even the highlighted yellow, that's.
yeah, significant numbers of people.
Yeah,
The number, I think this number is relatively high, although what we find historically, usually, is that number over the next, I've never seen that many properties go to tax sale. 2021.
They won't.
It'll weed out,
Yes.
just
Yeah.
having this in front of,
The first notification
16
is
of
gonna
those
get-
people
Yeah.
is gonna solve the issue.
Right,
Painful as it may be. Typically we have 3 to 7, maybe,
Yeah.
something like that in any given year that actually go to tax sale.
this is what Facebook would be good for.
Might be. Well,
For getting that word out.
yeah,
That's
might be.
Not
I mean,
posting their names, I don't mean like that.
Exactly,
no.
yeah.
Although that would go viral really fast, 'cause that's the
Exactly.
way people work.
Yeah, no, you
yeah,
have
but
to
it's
be-
in,
that's
it's
the
in the
kind of
town
thing.
report every year.
Right,
So,
So,
yeah.
how do they,
It has
Yeah.
to be a public process, or, I mean,
Yeah.
it has to be legally, obviously, but also, unfortunately, that's how you get people
Right.
to act
I
on
understand
it,
Warrants. I think this is my
It's
least
really
favorite
too
part of
bad.
anything right
Yeah.
now. No.
so next year though, Josh, what we'll do is we'll be more proactive. So after February tax collection, we'll get the levy recorded with the land records, get the letters out. And we're gonna shoot to have tax sales before the end of the fiscal year. So we can capture that money in that fiscal year where it should be.
Mhm.
And not, having it in the next fiscal year helps, but it should fall in the tax year that it was supposed to be collected in.
Well, maybe with you being in closer communication, we'll see these numbers drop.
I'm hoping,
Yeah, me too.
once Deb and I start the process, that we're gonna,
I mean, I'm guessing that part of the reason we're seeing that unusually high number of total, delinquencies is just that, because of turnover, we just haven't
Right.
had consistency between
yeah.
the clerk's office and the manager's office and everything, it just, we
Well,
haven't,
Larry said
people haven't
too,
been probably tracking it as much as
yeah,
we.
every year tax sale's been in August,
Yes,
so. But
Hmm.
we'll try something different next year and see what happens.
yeah,
I mean, yeah,
get people thinking about it sooner.
I'm hoping that's gonna be reduced by a lot.
Do they get a letter after 1 year also, and then another one about tax? Is
Well,
that?
see, if they're delinquent, Steve,
Mhm.
they get a notice every month, because
Okay.
they get 1% interest.
Right, and
Yeah.
that gets to my question then.
Yeah.
Do, I guess it's on what, credit card bills now or whatever, they say something like, this is how much you owe.
Right.
If you wait this much longer, this is how much you owe.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
So that they really, because I think if you just say 1%, a lot of
Right.
people would say, oh, it's only 1%.
Right,
You know,
but then,
if you see.
The
Right.
8% is one that hits it.
well, yeah, but it's
Yeah.
also 1% for 3 months and then 1.5%,
Right.
which is an
Right.
18%
Yeah.
tax, you know,
Right.
APR. That's a big number.
Yeah,
But again, I think you're right. If people are seeing 1 or 1.5%, they're saying,
Yeah.
oh, that's not that bad.
right,
When you look at it as a monthly thing, that's
Yeah.
pretty painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
there are also some of these that are just perennial. I mean, there are people here who have been on it every year since I've been on the select board, and that's just the way they function. I don't know why, you know. It ends up costing them a lot of money, but that's what they choose to do. You know. But
Maybe a vicious cycle they're in.
Alright,
for
so-
some, I think it is. For some,
It's just how they roll.
I don't know. Yeah, no, so there's a couple that are surprising.
So I'll keep you updated on that whole process
Yeah.
as we move forward. The pool, we have a locksmith going up there tomorrow. Talked to Brian about painting floors. Want to have the pool ready hopefully by May 25th.
Wow.
Because you needed the pool too, right?
The 11th is,
That's-
June 11th is what they
Was
done.
there a second date?
Well, the 18th is graduate.
That's what I
The
thought.
No, the 11th is graduation.
Right, the 18th is
Right.
end of school.
No, it's actually the 19th now. believe it or
All right.
not.
Oh, that's
It's
right,
last
because of
day.
snow days.
Yeah.
Right, so-
Cheryl Struthers mentioned to me that there's always been a handshake agreement between the town and the rec department for a free party there.
That typically happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
End of school, that's
so
the
you-
end of school party.
Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
what Steve was specifically asking about was the graduation is a week before that.
Oh, it's an
and whether
extra,
they
okay.
could have a party then, which we may well have done in the past, but not
Yeah.
recently that I'm aware
Yeah.
of, but, and,
I don't know that Emily Pals has mentioned this, this will sound really wacky, but the kids in the, her program, you know, that, the Four Winds program that gets the kids outside and into nature, they had American toads who laid eggs in the pool.
Oh, no.
And they've hatched, well, if they're like the toads in the puddle, they've hatched into itty bitty little black tadpoles. And I think those tadpoles only take about 3 or 4 weeks to come to maturity. And she was hoping the kids could watch them, you know, go through the whole cycle. I don't know how that fits with getting the pool ready for everything else. Who would she talk to?
Joe cleans the pool, and
Yeah.
I went up there with Joe, and that pool was,
It always is.
oh,
Not quite horrible.
now I know why there's,
It's very natural right at the moment.
yeah,
Yes.
very natural.
Yeah.
a little more like a pond.
Yeah,
When does Joe plan on cleaning it?
he was gonna be doing it.
Yeah, he's got a schedule.
Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah, he has to do the pump house and everything, he's gonna get stuff running, we had a rodent in there, and it burrowed underneath
Mm,
into where the valves are and everything.
Right.
So, he's got a lot to do up there. It's not, I think a work group would be perfect to get the pool open, but both bathrooms, the floors need to be painted with that, you know, adhesive paint,
Right,
non-skid.
yeah.
And then the entry room, that needs to be redone. So it all has to be scraped and then painted. There's other things, but, you know, cleaning the pool, the slide has to be fixed, Brian's has the part.
He does.
But he cannot weld, you know, he can't get
Right.
the, and it's
That was- I
fiberglass.
talked to Brian the other day about the several things that I was gonna talk to him about, and that's the
Alright.
one I forgot.
Okay,
So, because I know somebody who might have the solution for that problem.
so they're gonna cut back the brush up there, and he's gonna fix the driveway into the pool,
Yeah,
because it's all washed out.
that's been for,
All this
So-
stuff.
If I can get the highway guys in the building, fix the driveway, cut the brush back, we'll get Eric up there to mow
do
the
the
lawn.
first mowing.
We might be able to work around everything.
Like, put the other things, do the other things first and put the cleaning of the pool toward the end. maybe.
But
Yeah.
if, but if it's gonna be 4 more weeks, that's
Yeah.
gonna
Well,
be
check with
too late.
Emily, because I'm not
I
a
can-
toad specialist at all.
They
Okay.
might be a week or two into it already.
They might be,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe they're a week or two into it already.
They may have had, yeah, but
Yeah.
they're at least 1 week into it. Yeah.
I mean, we could put the pool cleaning off until the last week of May, but
Not much beyond that.
No,
Because
no.
it needs
No,
a
it's set up
solid
with
week
chemicals.
to,
Yeah, you gotta
exactly.
do chemicals and everything.
Yeah,
So I'm not really sure about,
Whatever, I just thought I'd mention.
yeah.
sorry.
Well, the other thing is, it might be a fun time to go out and catch a bunch of tadpoles and move them into a little kiddie
Yeah.
pool kind of thing, and then you
Yeah.
can watch them, I don't know.
That's true.
But,
Yeah, there's plenty of growth there too.
Well, it is river water, water anyway,
It's
so.
no water.
Yeah.
Something
It
that
comes
settles.
but before you go, do you want to do we have a beaver update?
Yeah,
I'm sure everyone knows as much as I do.
I just,
Really.
I didn't know what
I,
they
yeah,
knew.
no, I thought that's why you were here.
It is fine here, but
All
I think
right.
you know everything that I know.
Well, do you have to skip out?
She's got a 7 o'clock.
It's
Oh,
7 o'clock.
all right.
I'm waiting with bated breath over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we go to beavers for a moment?
And I'll throw in this last piece in a minute.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So the beaver
let's have a
update.
beaver update.
No, I want Ian to tell everybody, because, no, it's very exciting.
There's a beaver.
2!
Yeah.
Yay!
Mr. and Mrs. as far as we know, or?
Well, what happened was Ellen Holmes, who's our secretary on the Conservation Commission, her neighbors told her, I think it's good information, that they were walking at dusk. They saw one medium-sized beaver behind the Maple Springs where the water's a little higher because we're
Yeah.
sort of not clearing the culvert fences to keep it up a little bit.
Yeah.
The culverts are clear in case of a rainstorm
Yeah.
or whatever. And then they looked down the road and there was a very large beaver
Huh.
crossing the road, like actually literally walking across the road. So these are 2 beavers in the same territory, obviously not having territorial fights. So we can presume that they're getting along together. The question is, where will they just, this is a new batch probably, so where will they decide that
Right.
it's the best
proper
place
for the dam.
to put a dam?
Well, if I were a beaver, I would choose the bridge over Sand Hill to put my dam.
I think they've done that before when the bridge was smaller. Yeah. So let's hope they don't make that decision. But we're going to be waiting a while to, to see what happens. The site of the old dam is, I think, from a human point of view, pretty impossible because the hole there has gotten so deep that there's actually an upwelling from the confined aquifer that's under more pressure, so the water's coming up. So we don't need to worry about contamination because it's opposite, yeah. And
Although as
Joe's
the
keeping
season
track
goes
of
on,
that.
might change.
Hmm?
As the season goes on, that might change, I don't know.
So far it hasn't, so far it's still happening.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen right away, it didn't happen in February, I just noticed it a few weeks ago. But that hole was 8 feet deep to begin with. And now it's gotten deeper and it's connected to the lowest line, part of the aquifer. I just think we can hope maybe further downstream, which might be better for them anyway, safer
In the long run.
in the long run. But we'll just have to see. And people are coming to me saying, can't we do something about it? Can't we do something about the drain pond? So I just say, well, let's wait a while. But that is on people's mind. So, but anyway, the news in general is
Good
good.
news.
Yeah, we've got the beavers, we don't have to worry about
Yeah.
waiting any longer for that. So,
Thank you, Ian.
you're welcome, thank you for keeping track of all that,
Yeah.
being willing to report on it. Okay, take care.
See ya, have a good night.
Bye-bye.
All right, so back to town manager.
So school drill tomorrow, Steve,
Right.
safety drill?
The 11th. Is tomorrow the 11th already?
No, it'd be Friday, right?
Yeah.
All right, so
Friday.
Ian gave me the wrong date. So May 11th. It's a half a day.
Yeah.
Ian, our deputy sheriff,
Oh,
because he asked if I was going as part of the emergency
Jeez, I
management.
hope did he give you the wrong date?
He did. He told me it's tomorrow, but
Hopefully he's there for the right date.
I'll text him.
Good.
It's in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I will, I'll talk to Tom.
And that's public information, obviously, because.
It's a half day.
But the kids,
It's
oh,
a
is that
half
why?
day,
Oh, so it
yeah.
happens after
Yeah.
the kids have left?
Right,
Yeah, they
Yeah.
made a special half day for it.
Oh.
yeah.
So it is public information as far as I know, because it was sent
Yes.
out to all the parents.
I just didn't know whether if it was a drill, they were trying to make it, yeah.
No,
No.
no. So one other item on town manager's report. So the highway department was up in Barry, Vermont today for the Vermont Municipal Highway Association Equipment Day.
Mhm.
And Tyler Westney, one of our crew members, took second place in the backhoe competition.
Excellent.
Yeah, young guy,
And
you
he,
know?
yeah, he hasn't
Yeah.
been doing it that long. Wow,
Yeah,
that's
so
good.
second place.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Nice. But first place went to Mr. Brian Harlow.
Oh, did he?
Wow, way to represent Putney.
By quite a few points.
Wow.
So Brian took first,
Wow.
Tyler took second, and yeah, so that's a big thing for the highway departments in the whole state of Vermont.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And Brian was standing there when they announced Tyler's name, and Brian's like, oh my gosh, if I don't beat him.
then what? Yeah.
That's
So,
great.
yeah, so Brian, he got a plaque, he got his picture taken, so did
Nice.
Tyler, so I just
Good.
wanted to let you guys know,
Excellent.
and they're very proud, you know.
They should be.
Yeah, that's
So,
great.
good for them.
Yeah.
Now, no
Well,
other
and
towns
Tyler-
can poach them.
I mean, Tyler in particular, that's impressive, because,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know his backhoe history. Brian was, for all practical purposes, born on a backhoe.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
Tyler, I'm not sure, but he's only been doing it for us for a short period of time, so he's obviously got,
he does have
Impressive
heavy
skills.
equipment
Equipment background,
experience,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's great.
And Brian said he is like one of the better, you know,
Good stuff.
equipment, yeah, for his age. He
yeah,
is really good,
good.
so,
How long has he been working for us?
a
Less
year?
than 2 years, yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, year and a half.
yeah, something like
Good
that,
work.
Yeah, because he came before me, I think it was June,
yeah.
so, yeah, almost 2 years, so.
Good, well,
Yeah.
Brian better be watching his back, though, if he's already done it too.
Yeah, he doesn't worry about his crew, I'll tell you, and he's, yeah. They work well together.
Good.
Good.
So,
All right, that's it for town manager.
yes,
So warrants. What do you got?
a payroll and I have accounts payable. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve and execute the warrants as presented.
Okay, first warrant is,
Second?
Oh, I'm second. that.
sorry,
Every time,
It's
it's
Been
always
moved
this
and
one.
seconded. It's been moved and seconded to approve and execute the warrants as presented. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
I think it's just that I don't want to spend money.
Yeah.
Well, it also occurs to me that maybe we should have the motion after we've, well, I don't know. Because if we haven't seen them yet,
right,
Yeah.
you know, we probably ought to see them
first.
and then move it. I mean,
You can do-
presumably we'd backtrack if we had a big
Right.
problem, but
You can do them all at once at the end too.
exactly.
Yeah, all right, so
Okay.
payroll warrant dated May 4th, 2018, in the amount of $9,561.85. And has the library on it.
And we didn't historically used to move it and
Yeah.
approve them. We just signed them, which was our approval, but Chip made it clear that we were supposed to have a motion.
Yeah, that one has the
That way.
insurance, if they opted out of the insurance, it was the beginning of the month. So there's an extra check in there for 3 people.
Gotcha.
Just the one, you mean the ones that are listed twice? the transfer
Yes,
twice,
yeah.
Yeah.
Payroll warrant dated May 11th, 2018, $6,002.15.
A different format?
It looks different, don't it? Because I was like, well, yeah, that one is, I don't know why she printed it like that. I think normally they're
Keep
like
us on our
this.
toes.
Yeah.
Mm, Historically, they've been like this, but
Yeah.
Is there another one in there?
Nope. I guess this is just toe sheets or breakdown.
Yeah, we started implementing this, and actually it should be $8,414.17. Why is this different?
Well, 8,270.85 mileage and supplies reimbursement for 143 is missing, I guess.
143 is there.
82,70.86.
See, that's what-
82,70.86, it should be
And that's before taxes and everything else, so.
84,14.73.
But that 143 is in there.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
I wonder if I can generate that.
I mean, it may just be that,
13, and actually that's not even adding to this.
Right,
Eight-
because you should be able to see that
The
number.
last number should be a 1.
827085.
Oops. Just realized I forgot to do something at the school. Um,
Sorry about that, guys. And gals.
Oh, okay, I guess that was right. But still missing that.
Should be off by a penny, but this
Right.
doesn't make sense to me.
okay, well.
It is, too. Should be fit.
They should all be on there, but
No, it looks like someone might be missing, unless someone's in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Salary, some of them are bi-weekly though.
Oh, right, that's, okay, that's it.
So,
so
right.
So it
that-
should be this number here then.
But you should have a 0 somewhere out there if that's
Yeah.
the case, which you don't.
No, because all of them are weekly right there, because library's not in there,
Oh,
because you don't have
well,
library ones.
you've got two here, or that's a
Yeah,
that's a
but-
duplicate, this is a duplicate.
Well, no, because they broke it out, finance officer and then,
No, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, so the
Yes,
total should be the
right,
same.
right.
Yeah. Oh, on call, and, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but it's not broken out here.
no, it
So that-
doesn't, no, because it shows up as one check.
So that makes sense.
Mhm.
You count that much more here.
We can look at this in the morning and try to.
Well,
I,
however, I mean, do you want us to?
well, if we get one signature in the morning,
Yeah, if you guys want to approve me to sign it tomorrow, I can do
Mhm.
that.
Okay.
yeah, because I'd rather have it right,
Yeah,
please.
Sure.
No, I mean, the funny thing is that these numbers are right,
Uh-huh.
so why is, you know,
It's not the right report either, so.
something's funny about it.
Yeah.
Yep,
All right,
All right, so I'll move to approve Josh to sign the payroll warrant
in the morning.
in the morning
Yep.
as presented, contingent upon the error being discovered.
rectified, yeah.
Right.
I second that.
Moved and seconded to approve myself to sign this warrant once it's reconciled.
Yes.
If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Thank you.
You'll just have to remind me tomorrow.
Yeah, I will. Otherwise, everybody will be calling me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take care of that in the morning first thing. Accounts payable warrant, Deb? April 10th through April 11th. Okay, so there's one item on here for $94.05. This was a penalty. This was a direct pay, so it's a manual direct pay, which didn't get on the warrant the last time.
So it couldn't be paid.
So it's showing up now. Now, Leah was not able to put this item on this warrant, so we have two warrants, okay? So this is for $94.05.
You know, the number's good, it's just the report that's wrong.
Yeah, no, that's what we were saying, right,
Numbers
those
right
numbers
here.
are right, yeah, no, that's what we were saying,
Yeah.
right.
Oh, okay, I just.
Wait a
So,
minute, it's on there.
but it's not, it's this number that doesn't seem to make sense, but maybe
Okay.
it
What
does.
number do you have there, Deb?
The gross amount is on the report,
It's just in a different,
but
that's
it,
the
but
different
it's
location.
like,
What's the number you
column
have?
carried over, 8,270.86.
Right,
Okay.
Yeah.
and then the 143 is two columns over.
Badly
Format.
printed,
Yeah.
formatted report, but I think the information is okay, but,
Mhm.
sorry.
I mean, we can go ahead and approve it and you just reformat it, as long as the numbers are, I mean, that's what we were seeing too,
Yeah,
is that it
right.
adds up.
No, when I looked at it, I was looking for
just
something
confusing.
missing, and it's just badly
It's backwards.
formatted.
Right.
Yeah,
See, the next
Sorry.
page shows it a little clearer. The next page shows it a little clearer.
Right.
In that bottom right-hand corner.
And that's
Except it
what,
still is penny off.
right.
Yes.
A penny is okay,
It's okay.
because it's a rounding
Right, that's
issue,
what I figured. yeah.
but that spreadsheet, we just implemented that, and it took a while to get Leah to accustomed to it. But that's the check and balance right there,
right,
because I was seeing that 6,000,
right.
and of course.
Well, and that's net, that's listed as net amount,
Right,
but gross, so net, I guess that's,
This
if you
is
add
just-
all of those
Yeah.
guys to it, yeah.
right.
I'm with you guys, I think.
Well, this is probably fine if it's just formatted so that the
Number.
gross should be, this gross column should be here. And then it would make sense.
We're just
But
not
if the
used to
numbers are
that.
right, should we just go ahead and?
Yeah, if that
sign
number
it?
is right,
Yeah.
you can,
So this number and this number add up to reconcile that number and that number, so we're good on that, so, okay. Then you don't have to remind me tomorrow.
we're still gonna print the right report and then.
Yes,
that
yeah.
one. Confusion.
Gosh,
Let's keep it simple, people.
be consistent.
All right, so accounts payable warrant dated 5/4 through 5/11, Deb? $56,040.90. So that's a little lower than the last one we had. The second page Steve will give you, or maybe the third page, right there.
Okay.
So there's your breakdown of all your checks. If you have any questions on any of them, we can pull your invoice.
This must be for the bridge.
Yeah.
Is that Carl?
Yep. Yeah, 2,600. It's hemlock, by the way.
I talked to Brian about
Yeah.
that. Yeah, no, our ability to find, there are better choices for woods that would last longer. Part of the problem with this being a good example is being able to come up with that inside of a week's time
Right.
is challenging.
Yeah.
There's really only two other choices that are local-ish and would be better to use. And neither of them is readily available unless we order in advance kind of
What
thing.
about larch?
Larch is not that easy to find around here.
Yeah, there, I know that, I guess on Ludlow, I know they have a bunch of it up there. There's a guy that mills a bunch of it up.
Is that right?
Mhm.
No,
Or in between Chester and Ludlow.
no. Larch wouldn't be a bad idea. It's not as strong, but it's longer lasting.
Might last.
So, yeah.
You can mention that to Brian.
Yeah, if I'll get that guy's name. Actually, the person to check with is Jack Bell,
Yeah.
because he's the one that knows it. That's how I found out. about it.
Okay.
Hugh got a bunch of larch that
Oh,
that may be who he was talking about. Because he bought a batch of larch out of further north, but, because there isn't much larch around here for decorative trees.
he's
yes.
right. No, I can't, I'm blanking on the guy's name right now, but he's got a ton of it.
Not John Williams or Hugh Davis.
No.
Here it is,
It'll come to me.
near Chester, but I know it's, the Goodwood is his business. Irwin?
Irwin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Irwin.
He might have, I don't know where it gets larch from, but. All right, so our next order of business is the 43rd Annual Marlboro Morris Ale Dancers.
So they contacted me through email, and I just wanted to give you the heads up that this is an event that they do every year. I spoke to Cynthia, and no permit is required.
Right.
So they're just gonna do their dancing from 12:15 to 1:15. They won't block the road. Tom is aware of it. I gave him the date. So we're all in sync with that. And they really appreciate the town of Putney allowing them to do this.
Where exactly do they,
Sort of that junction, as you go past the co-op, this is what you're asking. You can either keep going out to Old Route 5, or you can turn, it's sort of right in there.
Okay.
But they keep it so that cars can work around them as.
oh, there's a lot of room there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
natural.
Yeah.
But it's like 3 buses they have.
Yeah, it's a pretty
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
group of dancers.
Are they
Yeah.
gonna park the buses over at the,
No, they park them right there on that
Okay.
road, and they don't block traffic, and,
Okay.
they make sure they clean up after themselves,
Uh-huh.
and
yeah,
so.
great,
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
fun. Hopefully
What's the date of that again?
I don't-
Sunday, May 27th.
There you go. I had it in this mess somewhere, Steve, but
I hope it tracks business.
I'm all
to town.
reshuffled now, I can't
It
find
draws
it.
a bit of a crowd.
Good.
Could be over here.
Okay. I don't think we need a motion on that. I think our answer is yes.
Yes, yeah, I'm just informing you guys that it's gonna happen.
When you let them know about it, there is there's the parking area behind the fire station now for
Right.
people that are coming to
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah,
So they don't take up all the co-op parking.
yeah,
Oh, that's great.
yeah.
We've actually, now that you say that, we have talked about that in the past, that co-op parking becomes an issue. I can't remember.
Right.
Maybe the co-op can, I know the general store throws up signs when there are events in town
Yeah.
telling people to go park at
Yeah,
Baskerville. Maybe the co-op could throw up a sign telling people to go park at the fire station.
Yeah.
Not at the fire station, but,
Parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
So May 24th, Wyndham and Windsor Housing Trust is having an event at Next Stage Arts. And the spotlight is Putney Community Conservation.
Oh, good.
So I'm not sure if anyone's interested in attending.
I love that you announce these things now to us and it's going out on BCTV. And I know a lot
Yeah.
of people watch this, so
Well, no,
that's great.
it's important, and
Mhm.
Mhm.
sometimes we can make events and,
Oh, so it's their annual meeting at
Mhm.
next stage. Huh, interesting.
It's great that they're doing it here.
so talking about next stage, the group that you wrote the letter for to get the grant,
Mhm.
this is their packet. They want to share with the select board, and they're very grateful for you guys writing that letter, so they can have the opportunity.
This was the grant a couple years ago, yeah,
Yep,
for community, I can't remember exactly.
Right,
Which
it's-
trip it was.
yeah, it's
Legacy.
community, it's on that letterhead right there.
After 7 o'clock, you all lose your words.
Yeah,
You know the thing, the thing, the thing.
yeah, it's a letter we had just a few meetings ago.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But that was completion of the grant, wasn't it? Or was that an
No, they were
application?
awarded the grant, so they were able to produce this
okay.
program.
Oh, I was thinking of a different one, yeah.
Can you show the program?
Yeah,
Or to show you the,
It's an amazing lineup of events.
Yes.
Friday night is the Green Mountain Boys
Mhm.
and the Stockwell Brothers.
Okay, great, thanks. No, they are very appreciative of what you did for them.
all right, good,
That's all I have.
good. Motion to adjourn?
So
Anybody else have any, hang on, sorry. We have that last category, other business. Any other business?
That's not on it anymore.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, it is. No, well, she already gave us.
other business, oh,
Yeah.
there. Yeah, okay.
Good.
So sorry to interrupt your motion.
Yeah, so move to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.